I was on my way up the mountain to gather herbs when I found a man who had been severely poisoned. I brought him back to the village and cared for him meticulously until his attendants found him to bring him back to the palace. Only then did I learn he was the third prince of the dynasty. Before leaving, he said, "A man and a woman staying together in one room will surely damage your reputation, my lady. Since this started because of me, I must take you as my wife." And so, in my innocence, I followed him away from the mountain village. Little did I know that in the capital, there was a childhood sweetheart waiting for his return. When that woman heard about him and me, she said nothing. She merely took the sachet the third prince once gave her and gave it to me, urging me to take good care of him. I thought they had no feelings for each other. So I focused all my efforts on detoxifying the third prince. For 49 consecutive days, I used my own blood as medicine. Finally, the rare poison in his body was cured. His Majesty was delighted. He betrothed me to the third prince and named him Crown Prince. But on the day Xiao Jingyu ascended the throne, he brought me to a gravestone. There were only 2 months left until she could stand up again, but you used the debt of healing me as a pretext to marry me, forcing Wan to commit suicide. Didn't you say your blood has miraculous effects? If you're so capable, bring her back to life to prove yourself. Otherwise, I'll make you pay the price today. I died in bitter cold. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment His Majesty asked if I could cure the third prince. That day, I knelt and kowtowed. This humble girl is incompetent. I cannot cure the third prince's poison. However, the third prince is protected by your Majesty's dragon aura. He will surely recover without me. His Majesty looked disappointed, yet he was somewhat unwilling to let it go. The other day, you saved the soldiers in the miasma forest single-handedly. How can you be helpless against the third prince's poison? I can promise you this. As long as you cure the third prince, I will arrange your marriage. When Jingyu ascends the throne in the future, you will be the mother of the nation. The poison in Xiao Jingyu's body was innate from the womb. It was said that someone had tried to poison His Majesty back then, and his mother saved the emperor by testing the medicine herself. Because of this, even though Xiao Jingyu was frail, sickly, and had difficulty moving, he was extremely favored by His Majesty. If I couldn't provide a proper reason today, I feared I wouldn't leave this place safely. My heart raced as I pondered how to refuse. From behind me, the sound of rolling wheelchair wheels approached. "Father, your son will not marry Ruoyan. I have already investigated. She doesn't have some special mystical constitution at all. She spread those rumors herself, just to marry into the royal family and enjoy wealth and glory. Do not be deceived by her, father." Xiao Jingyu's gaze fell upon me like a venomous snake. I shivered and shook my head repeatedly. The prince misunderstood. I have already told His Majesty the rumors are false. I have no intention of marrying the third prince. The emperor also testified for me, saying Ruoyan was indeed earnest. But I thought since she's known as a divine healer in the capital, what's the harm in letting her try? Xiao Jingyu was stunned for a moment. A trace of confusion appeared in his eyes when he looked at me, but then, as if realizing something, he sneered. "Is this the game of playing hard to get? Pity I saw through you long ago. I won't fall for it again. Father, I already have someone I love. If you insist I marry Su Ruoyan, I would rather die to prove my resolve." Xiao Jingyu's attitude was firm. His Majesty couldn't say much more. He sighed. "In that case, let the matter drop. However, Jingyu, I am curious which girl has caught your eye to make you love her so much. She must be a rare and extraordinary woman. I shall grant you a marriage decree." Upon hearing this, Xiao Jingyu's gaze instantly softened. But he lowered his head and declined. "Once our hearts are fully aligned, I will bring her to meet you, father." I knelt to the side, suppressing the mockery in my eyes. Xiao Jingyu didn't love some noble lady from a great family, but his personal maid. If he hadn't confessed it after ascending the throne in my last life, I never would have known. They had secret feelings right under my nose. Of course he didn't dare say it now. Even though his body was frail, his ambition was not small. He feared that speaking out now would anger the emperor and leave him with no competitiveness for the throne. The two of them talked for a while before remembering I was still kneeling there. His Majesty cleared his throat. "That is all. You may leave the palace now." I hurriedly took my leave after hearing that. Xiao Jingyu was still making solemn promises to the emperor. "Within 2 months, my body will recover, and I will stand again. When the time comes, during the autumn hunt, I will surely win the crown for you, father, and shine brilliantly." It was simply laughable. Who could say for sure? A surge of hatred rose in my heart. Before I could even exit the palace gates with my internal mockery, Xiao Jingyu's carriage stopped in front of me. He lifted the curtain, as if granting a favor. "I'll give you a ride." I didn't think for a second he was being kind. I took a few steps back. "The third prince is noble. How would a humble girl like me dare offend your sight?" Seemingly not expecting a rejection, Xiao Jingyu's eyes flashed with repeated annoyance. "You're hard to find, Su Ruoyan. I was just testing you just now. I'm certain you've been reborn as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't be avoiding me like this. Consider it your own self-awareness. Our accounts from the previous life are settled. As long as you don't play small tricks behind my back, I can let you go this life. Everything is cleared, I sneered in my heart. In the last life, I exhausted my blood and effort for him, only to end up with a tragic death. He owes me 2 lives. The third prince is right. From now on, for the medicine you take daily, our Yaosheng Hall will no longer accept your business, lest I be blamed for any mishaps. In the previous life, Xiao Jingyu's body was so eroded by poison that he was bedridden. After I cleared the toxins for him, I searched for all kinds of precious herbs to nurse his body back to health. Otherwise, how could he have recovered so quickly? A lifetime of sincerity fed to a dog. In this life, I will never involve myself with him again, no matter what. But in Xiao Jingyu's eyes, it seemed I was threatening him. Su Ruoyun, don't think I'll bow my head just because of this. Yaosheng Hall isn't the only pharmacy in the capital. There are plenty of people who want to serve me. I looked at his inexplicable anger and frowned slightly. Otherwise, if I go to the prince's mansion every day and your sweetheart sees it, she'll be unhappy again. I'm clearly thinking of you. Don't bite the hand that helps you. In the last life, when his personal maid Suwan committed suicide, she left a suicide note, with every word accusing my presence of preventing her from being with Xiao Jingyu. She also said the servants gossiped behind her back, and she couldn't take it anymore. So she chose death to prove her innocence. That's why Xiao Jingyu treated me like an enemy after ascending the throne. This time I want to see if they can find their happy ending without my interference. Xiao Jingyu's expression froze, a complex emotion flashing in his eyes. If that's the case, I hope you keep your word. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. The carriage left in a great hurry. I had solved a major problem and finally breathed a sigh of relief. But when I returned to Yaosheng Hall, I found everything in the shop smashed to pieces. Various medicinal herbs were scattered on the ground, trampled underfoot. When the onlookers saw me, they started pointing and whispering. So this is the divine doctor of Yaosheng Hall? She looks decent enough. But to think she'd fabricate lies just to marry into royalty. Her herbs were sold so expensive. And her attitude was terrible last time I came. She's getting her karma now. All sorts of mockery and disdainful looks fell on me, making me feel somewhat humiliated. Many of them were nearby neighbors. A doctor should have a benevolent heart. Since Yaosheng Hall was established, we had sold medicinal materials at the cheapest prices and held free clinics every day. Most of them must have received my help before. Yet now they were being incited into becoming the ones hurting me. I looked up and saw Xiao Jingyu. Suwan was standing by his side. When our eyes met, a flash of triumph crossed her face. Dr. Su, I wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I got some medicine from you. But somehow, the abdominal pain has only gotten worse today. I didn't think much of it. But the third prince insisted on coming here to get me justice. If we've offended you, I apologize on the prince's behalf. Suwan made a move to bow to me, but was pulled back by Xiao Jingyu and shielded behind him. He looked at me sharply, his eyes full of disgust. Wan, you did nothing wrong. It's clearly Su Ruoyun. Her medical skills are poor and she caused you suffering. To think she calls herself a divine doctor. I came here today specifically to expose her true face before everyone so no one else gets deceived. His words rippled through the crowd. Countless vegetable leaves and rotten eggs were thrown at me. Quack doctor, pay us back. Get out of the capital. Someone even splashed chicken blood all over me. I stood there in a wretched state. Xiao Jingyu, I already told you I won't marry you. Why must you still ruin my reputation? I remember every patient I see. Suwan never came here yesterday. This was just her fabrication. Xiao Jingyu glanced at me impatiently, refusing to admit anything. Only as he passed by me, he warned in a low voice. Leave the capital if you know what's good for you. Only when you're far away. Can I ensure you won't play tricks behind our backs? I clenched my fists, ignoring his words. I began tidying the shop by myself, sweating profusely from the exertion. I eventually collapsed on the floor, but compared to my last life, this pain was nothing compared to the agony of death. For a period of time after, my once bustling shop became completely deserted. Many people had believed the rumors and would spit at my door when passing by. When I went out for groceries, no one addressed me respectfully as doctor anymore. Instead, they called me a liar. To some extent, Xiao Jingyu had achieved his goal. But I wasn't worried. According to the memories of my last life, someone would soon come to beg for my help. When people from the palace appeared at Yaosheng Hall, saying the emperor wanted to see me, I wasn't surprised. It was also around this time in my previous life that urgent news came from the border. The enemy, desperate for victory, had poisoned the border city. Many civilians and soldiers were affected, suffering unspeakably. That poison was nothing to me. But when the emperor asked, I still looked troubled. Your Majesty, this girl. A few days ago, the third prince sent people to wreck my shop, claiming I am a quack. If I go now, I fear the public will not be convinced. Xiao Jingyu stood to the side, seeing me decline. His face looked quite sour. I see you just have no real ability. You're refusing because you're afraid of being exposed. I gave a non-committal response. The emperor, however, looked at me seriously. Jingyu was the one who recommended you this time. It's the perfect chance for you to prove yourself. If you succeed, my previous promise will still stand. When I heard Xiao Jingyu had recommended me, I understood everything. He really was exhausting every method to get rid of me. Furthermore, he genuinely believed I had no skill. Sending me to such a dangerous place was surely an attempt to place me in a perilous situation. Even having a second life, I still underestimated his malice. Xiao Jingyu felt awkward under my gaze and said, "That's right. If you really have the ability, I can take you as a concubine. Consider it your reward." I suppressed the disgust in my heart to keep myself from lashing out right then and there. "Your Majesty, I am willing to go, but if I succeed, I do not wish to marry the third prince. I only ask for a single promise from your Majesty." Xiao Jingyu didn't expect me to be so ungrateful. His face flushed red. "Su Ruoyun, you'd better think this through. Once you miss this chance, there won't be another." The emperor was also very puzzled. But seeing my resolve, he eventually nodded. I set off immediately. The people escorting me were arranged by Xiao Jingyu. Before parting, he approached me with self-importance. As if he had me all figured out. Wan is already pregnant. Once she gives birth, I will ask father for a decree to make her my primary wife. However, she is still bothered by the matter between us. It's easy for a pregnant woman to be unsettled. That's why I wanted to send you away. I'll treat what you said today as just throwing a tantrum. If you behave yourself, the position of concubine will still be yours. I don't understand why Xiao Jingyu thinks I'm desperate for him. I just glanced coolly at his legs. Have your legs regained any feeling lately? I intended it as a mockery, but in Xiao Jingyu's eyes, it seemed like concern. He couldn't help but boast naturally. I've been able to stand briefly lately. It won't be long before I can walk perfectly. I said no more. With so many ancient medicines forced into him, it could indeed produce a brief effect. But that was all just an illusion. Once the poison completely merged with his internal organs, not even an immortal could save him. I suppose there will be a good show waiting when I return to the capital. When I arrived at the border, I was met by the general's lieutenant. Yesterday, a doctor in the city developed an antidote. To ensure its effectiveness, the general tested the poison on himself, but it was completely useless. He is still lying in bed now. I was silent for a moment. Memories of my previous life suddenly surfaced. In that life, the emperor, to keep me focused on the prince's treatment, had not told me about the border city. By the time I found out later, it was too late. The most vivid rumor was about the brave, ever-victorious general, who met with a mishap on the battlefield. I had wondered why someone of his strength would fall. Thinking back now, he must have been deeply poisoned, and was powerless to act. I handed the pills I prepared on the road to the lieutenant. "I'll go see the general first. Distribute these pills to the poisoned civilians and soldiers. They will recover soon." The pills were infused with my blood, and there were enough for everyone. The lieutenant showed some hesitation, but since every other method had failed, he could only trust me. I saw the great general for the first time. Gu Jun didn't have the full beard I imagined. He looked very heroic and sharp. There was a scar on his face, but it didn't make him look ugly. It was a symbol of a hero. Gu Jun's consciousness was hazy. I checked his pulse and gave him the antidote. Before long, his furrowed brow relaxed, and the feverish heat of his body subsided significantly. The lieutenant returned and almost knelt in joy. He ordered men to prepare a place for me to stay. Gu Jun only woke up fully the next day. He came to apologize and thank me. The moment he spoke, he carried a powerful aura. Yet he didn't seem overbearing. "Miss Su, for saving my life. I can never repay you enough. If you ever have need of me, just say the word." My eyes sparkled as a plan formed. I smiled. "General Gu, I do indeed have a presumptuous request. I told Gu Jun the idea I had yesterday. He fell into a rare silence. I didn't force him, just told him to let me know once he'd considered it. I was going to stay here for a while anyway. In the following days, I stayed with the garrison. There were no skilled doctors in this city, so I had a good reason to remain. Through these interactions, Gu Jun and I began to grow familiar. The day the enemy country sent a truce letter, we were drinking and talking happily. In a haze, I heard him say, "Miss Su, I agree to that matter." I returned to the capital with the army, counting the days. The good show was about to begin. Sure enough, the moment I reached the city gates, I ran into the third prince's servant. His eyes lit up when he saw me, as if he'd found a savior. "Miss Su, please go see the third prince. His condition is very bad." At the hunting grounds, Xiao Jingyu had just fallen from his horse and vomited several mouthfuls of blood. His legs, which had regained some sensation, had become completely numb again. He couldn't help but panic. Just now, he had insisted on riding for the autumn hunt. Su Wan had tried to dissuade him gently, Your Highness's body hasn't fully recovered. There's no need to rush. But he was blinded by a few flattering words from others. And wanted to show off his recovery. In front of His Majesty. To add leverage to his bid for the throne. So he insisted on mounting the horse. That horse was a fine steed he had specifically sought out. But it had a fierce temperament. Normally, only the horse trainers could get near it, but he refused to believe he couldn't do it. Feeling his body was in great shape. He was certain he could tame it. Who knew that as soon as he got in the saddle, the horse would suddenly rear up. With a violent neigh. Xiao Jingyu's foundation was unstable to begin with, and his body had been eroded by toxins. How could he withstand such a jolt? He was thrown off instantly, and fell heavily onto the hard stone path. A sharp pain shot through his chest. And then a mouthful of blood sprayed out, staining the ground. The moment he hit the ground, he felt a piercing numbness in his legs. The weak sensation he could once feel vanished without a trace in an instant. As if all his strength had been violently stripped away. He couldn't even move a toe. Panic flooded over him like a tide. He tried to push himself up. But a tearing pain radiated through every bone. It felt as though his internal organs were being squeezed by an invisible hand. Even breathing became difficult. His vision darkened in waves, and the sounds around him became muffled, leaving only the violent thumping of his own heart against his eardrums. Like a death knell announcing the approaching crisis, Suwan finally managed to push through the crowd. She grabbed Xiao Jingyu's hand, weeping piteously. Your Highness, what happened? If something happens to you, what will become of me? She was wearing loose clothes. A plain scholar's skirt. That concealed her slightly protruding lower abdomen. Therefore, no one could tell that she was pregnant. They only saw her as a servant who was deeply loyal to her master. Many people, seeing her weep so sorrowfully, secretly sighed with emotion. The third prince had such a devoted person by his side, but only Suwan herself knew how much of her crying was fake. And how much was calculation. Xiao Jingyu had already promised her that once he won the top prize in the autumn hunt, he would ask the emperor to make her his side consort. If she could win the emperor's favor, she might even be directly titled the primary consort. For this day, she had endured so much cold treatment in the prince's manor, and suffered so much ridicule. The other maids and concubines in the manor, all of them gossiped about her in secret. A mere servant girl, delusionally trying to climb the social ladder. But she had finally made it this far after much hardship. She was on the verge of reaching the heavens. How could anything happen to Xiao Jingyu? Her hand gripped Xiao Jingyu's fingertips tightly, her knuckles turning white with force. Yet, she was calculating in her heart. If Xiao Jingyu really didn't make it, then the child in her belly would be the third prince's only bloodline. The emperor, out of consideration for blood ties, would not treat her poorly. But if Xiao Jingyu survived, then her truly glorious days would begin. No matter what, she had to keep Xiao Jingyu alive. At least until her child was born. Xiao Jingyu forced his eyes open. In his blurred vision, he could only see Suwan's tear-streaked face. His hand rested slightly on Suwan's belly. There, his child was growing. The bloodline of the Xiao family. He wanted to speak. Wanted to tell Suwan not to be afraid, but his throat felt as if it were blocked. He could only make a raspy gurgling sound. He couldn't say a single word. Warm blood continued to seep from the corners of his mouth, staining Suwan's sleeves. A group of imperial physicians were in a frantic scramble nearby. Some were taking his pulse, some were rummaging through medicine chests, and some were stomping their feet in anxiety. But after all the commotion, they all shook their heads one after another, their faces filled with terror. The lead physician, Li Tai, knelt tremblingly before the emperor. He cowed out and said, "Your servant is incompetent. The third prince's pulse is faint. His breath is thin as a thread. His internal organs are all damaged. I fear he does not have much time left." The emperor's face darkened upon hearing this, and the surrounding pressure dropped to an absolute minimum. He kicked the nearest imperial physician, and roared, "A bunch of useless fools. You have been the ones nurturing the third prince's health. How could such a serious mishap occur? If something happens to the third prince, I will certainly hold you all responsible." The physician who was kicked lost his balance, and curled up on the ground, not daring to move. The other physicians were even more terrified, their faces ashen. They cowed out repeatedly, begging for forgiveness. The sounds of pleading echoed one after another. Physician Li braced himself and replied, "Your Majesty, please calm your anger. We are truly powerless." The poison in the third prince's body was originally concentrated in his legs. Though his movement was impaired, at least his life could be preserved. But now, for some unknown reason, the toxin has suddenly spread throughout his body, seeping into his organs. His meridians are completely damaged. Medicine and food are no longer effective. Furthermore, during this period, the third prince had already stopped taking the imperial hospital's medicine. He said he found another way to regulate his body. We tried to dissuade him many times, but the third prince simply would not listen. These words were like a thunderclap in everyone's ears. The emperor's expression became even more unsightly. He looked at Xiao Jingyu, his eyes filled with disappointment and fury. He had always favored this son. Even though he was disabled, he had sought out famous doctors from across the world for him, spending countless precious medicinal ingredients. But look at him. He actually stopped the Imperial Hospital's medicine on his own, believing in unorthodox methods. Now that he has ended up like this, it is simply his own doing. Xiao Jingyu lay on the ground, hearing physician Li's words clearly. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. A massive fear instantly gripped his heart, leaving his whole body cold, forgetting even how to tremble. Tears fell uncontrollably from the corners of his eyes, mixing with the fresh blood at his mouth, leaving striking streaks on his face. How could he not remember? He had stopped the Imperial Hospital's medicine. After Su Ruoyun left, his legs had never actually made any substantial progress. That bit of faint sensation was nothing more than an illusion built by piling up precious ancient medicines. It's not that he hadn't suspected whether Su Ruoyun was the key to the treatment, whether he had wrongly accused her back then, whether those rumors about her medicine human constitution were actually true. But just as he wanted to lower his pride and seek out Su Ruoyun, Su Wan had run to him crying, saying she had an ancestral formula left by her mother, specifically for treating difficult and complicated cases. Though it couldn't fully neutralize the poison, it could restore sensation to his legs and help him stand again. Su Wan had knelt before him, her eyes full of pleading, saying she only wanted His Highness to get better, that she didn't want to see him tormented by illness every day. Xiao Jingyu already favored Su Wan wholeheartedly, and was moved by her look of deep affection. He couldn't bear to refuse her, so he let her try it. Who knew that the formula actually worked? After just a few days, his legs really could feel sensation, and he could even stand barely by holding on to things. This filled him with overwhelming joy. He began to despise himself more and more, thinking he had almost been fooled by that woman Su Ruoyun again. He felt that Su Ruoyun's so-called medicine human constitution was nothing but a lie woven to marry into the royal family. Fortunately, he hadn't fallen for it. But how could he have known that Su Wan's formula merely used a large amount of heat-natured medicinal herbs to temporarily suppress the toxins in his legs? It seemed like it restored sensation, but in reality, it was accelerating the spread of the toxins. Those heat-natured herbs were like an intense fire, thoroughly igniting the toxins that had been dormant in his legs, spreading bit by bit throughout his body and invading his organs. The moment they erupted, it would be beyond saving. And yet he was completely unaware, even feeling smug, thinking he had truly found a way to heal. He even insisted on participating in the autumn hunt to prove himself before the emperor, only to end up like this. In his daze, Xiao Jingyu suddenly remembered his past life. In order to save him, Su Ruoyun bled herself every day to brew medicine, never stopping for 49 days. Back then, Su Ruoyun was a girl with bright eyes and a rosy complexion. But 49 days of bloodletting made her face paler and paler, as if a gust of wind could blow her away. Her lips were always colorless, and even her walking became wobbly, requiring someone to support her. But even so, she still persisted, getting up every day before dawn to brew medicine, staying by the medicine stove without leaving. Once the medicine was ready, she would feed it to him bit by bit, her eyes full of worry and anticipation. Back then, he was full of resentment towards Su Ruoyun, thinking she was using the debt of saving his life to force a marriage, feeling she was deeply calculating, wanting to cling to the royal family. So he always found all sorts of reasons to make things difficult for her, deliberately knocking over the medicine she had brewed, deliberately making her kneel in the courtyard during the bitter winter, deliberately speaking to her with cold words, making things hard for her in every possible way. But she never retreated and never complained. She would just silently clean up the spilled medicine and brew it again. Even when she was shivering in the bitter winter, she still refused to stand up, only saying over and over, "If your highness drinks the medicine, your body will get better." Gradually, as he watched her be so persistent, and so without regret, his heart began to waver slightly. He developed a different kind of feeling for Su Ruoyun. He felt that if they were truly together, perhaps it wouldn't be so bad. He even thought that once he ascended the throne, he would appoint Su Wan as empress. After all, Su Wan had been by his side for years, with deep affection and loyalty. Then he would appoint Su Ruoyun as a noble consort. Though the rank was a bit lower, he would certainly treat her equally, giving her endless wealth and glory to compensate for her sacrifices during this time. But he never expected that Su Wan would commit suicide by poison and leave behind a suicide note. In the letter, word by word, she accused Su Ruoyun of relying on her status in the manor to bully her, saying that Su Ruoyun couldn't tolerate her, targeting her everywhere, leaving her with no place to stand in the manor, until finally, with no other choice, she could only use her death to prove her innocence. Su Wan was the one who had stayed by his side all these years, the person he held most dear. He believed Su Wan's words without a doubt. In almost an instant, he lost all reason. Without any investigation, without any verification, he simply pinned all the crimes on Su Ruoyun's head. He hated her hypocrisy, hated her cunning, hated that she ruined the woman he loved. Therefore, on that day, he brought her before Su Wan's tombstone, and tormented her in every way. He carved 49 cuts onto her body, each cut a vengeance for her bloodletting and brewing medicine plot, forcing her to use her own blood to resurrect Su Wan, ultimately torturing her to death. But now, lying on the ground in a desperate situation, he finally remembered those details he had ignored. He remembered when Su Ruoyun was brewing medicine, the blisters on her fingers from the heat of the stove. He remembered when she bled herself, she was clearly enduring pain, yet she still smiled and told him it didn't hurt. He remembered when he made things difficult for her, the grievance and disappointment in her eyes, yet there was never a trace of resentment. He remembered when Su-won was crying and complaining to him, the fleeting smugness in her eyes. He remembered how Su-won was always before him, saying bad things about Su Ruoyun. He remembered that Su-won never truly cared about his health, only blindly catering to his preferences. To make him happy. A massive wave of regret surged in Xiao Jingyu's heart, drowning him like a tide, making him suffer in agony. He finally believed that Su Ruoyun truly had the medicine human constitution. Her blood really could neutralize all poisons. Her feelings for him were also real. But he had been blind. Mistaking elm for pearl. Mistaking sincerity for falsehood. He personally pushed away the person who was sincere to him and favored that hypocritical and cunning woman. Ultimately ending up like this was entirely his own fault. The fear of death stimulated his nerves, making him use all his strength to try and grab onto the last straw. He squeezed out a sentence with effort, his voice hoarse and broken, as unpleasant as a broken gong. Go, find Su Ruoyun. She has the medicine human constitution. Her blood can neutralize the poison in me. Go find her, quickly. As long as she can save me, I'll do whatever she wants. Last night, upon hearing this, the sobbing sound stopped instantly. A flash of unwillingness and resentment crossed her eyes, but it was quickly concealed by her. She remained in that heartbroken state. She never expected that even at this point. The first person Xiao Jingyu thought of was still Su Ruoyun. That woman had already been driven away by them, had already been humiliated by them in every way, yet Xiao Jingyu still wanted her to save his life. However, thinking of the child in her belly, she suddenly felt confident again. Even if Su Ruoyun came, so what? The thing Xiao Jingyu cared about most now, after all, was his bloodline. As long as his child was here, Xiao Jingyu would not treat her poorly, and the emperor would not disregard her either. Once Xiao Jingyu survived, she had plenty of ways to make Su Ruoyun disappear forever, to never appear before them again. Xiao Jingyu only felt as if his body were thrown into a fire to roast and then thrown into an ice cellar to freeze. The pain of fire and ice made him wish for death. Every part of him was being torn apart by toxins, corroding even the gaps between his bones with pain. His consciousness began to blur bit by bit. Images from his previous life flashed before his eyes. Su Ruoyun's pale face, the various ways he had tormented her, the despair and hatred in her eyes before she died. He regretted it. He regretted it until his heart turned bitter. Why did he, because of a few slanders from Su-won and because of his own temporary confusion, send Su Ruoyun to such a distant border pass? Why did he personally smash her Yaosheng Hall, cutting off his own escape route, to the point where he could only lie here waiting in agony, without even seeing her shadow? He didn't even know if she would come, or if she would be willing to save him, but he was afraid he wouldn't be able to wait anymore, afraid he would just be gone like this, afraid he wouldn't even have a chance at redemption. He didn't want to die yet. He hadn't ascended the throne yet, hadn't given Su-won a title yet, hadn't seen his own child be born. More importantly, he hadn't apologized to Su Ruoyun yet, hadn't made up for what he owed her. His hand weakly grabbed at the carpet, his fingernails carving tears into the silk. He repeatedly muttered, Su Ruoyun, come save me. I was wrong, I was really wrong, until a young eunuch came stumbling in and knelt before the emperor, shouting, Your Majesty, Miss Su Ruoyun has arrived. Hearing those words, Xiao Jingyu, a sudden light burst from his clouded eyes. Like a drowning man catching a piece of driftwood, instantly gaining vitality, he finally breathed a sigh of relief, with only one thought in his heart, she's here. She's finally here. I'm saved. When I reached the autumn hunting grounds, Xiao Jingyu's lips were black, and his face was ashen. He lay on the ground motionless, with only the faint rising of his chest proving he was still alive. He looked like he couldn't hold on much longer. He heard footsteps and struggled to turn his eyeballs. The moment he saw me, his ashen eyes suddenly lit up, as if he had seen the world's only hope. His lips trembled, and with all his strength, he cried out, Ruoyun, I was wrong, please save me quickly. That voice was hoarse and broken, without any of its former pride or arrogance, leaving only humble begging. If someone who didn't know the truth saw this, they would likely feel pity, but as I looked at him in this state, there was no ripple in my heart. In fact, there was a trace of satisfaction. I smiled without speaking, slowly walking up to him, taking my time, admiring the way he struggled for survival, admiring his disgrace falling from the clouds into the mud, admiring that face full of belated regret. Before my death in the previous life, I was also kneeling before him like this, begging him to spare my life, begging him to believe me, begging him not to treat me like that. But what about him? He didn't even give me a proper look. He just looked at me coldly, watching me suffer every torment before him. Watching me slowly drift toward death. His eyes full of indifference and disgust. Now, the tables have simply turned. Seeing that I only looked at him without speaking or acting, Xiao Jingyu's panic flared up again. He thought I was still holding a grudge against him and hurriedly said, Ruoyun, I know I wronged you before. I shouldn't have misunderstood you. I shouldn't have smashed your Yaosheng Hall. I shouldn't have sent you away. You can hit me or scold me, whatever you want. Just please, save me. I leaned down, looking down at him from above. My tone light, but carrying a bone-chilling coldness. The third prince must be joking. I am just a doctor with mediocre skills. I don't have the great ability to save you. Third prince, you truly are a noble person with a short memory. That day in the Grand Hall, it was you who personally said I was not a medicine human. Said I was spreading rumors to cling to the royal family. Afterward, you sent men to smash my Yaosheng Hall, calling me a quack before all the city's people, causing me to suffer endless abuse. Now, why do you suddenly think of this quack again? Xiao Jingyu was stunned by my words, his face full of shame and regret. He opened his mouth, wanting to explain, only to find himself speechless. Every word I said was a fact. Every word was something he had done personally. It was he who had pushed himself toward this dead end, step by step. The regret in his eyes deepened, as tears mixed with blood continued to fall. Ruoyun, I was just confused for a moment. My heart was clouded. I was fooled by Suwan. I know I was wrong. As long as you save me, I can apologize to you for all those things before. I will kowtow and admit my fault to you. Didn't you want to marry me? I agree to it. I can take you as my primary wife, and from now on we'll enjoy wealth and glory together. I'll give you the sole favor of the palace and a stable life. I let out a scoffing laugh. I straightened up, looking at him like he was a pathetic clown. I found it incredibly ridiculous. The third prince must be getting muddled, saying such nonsense. When did I ever want to marry you? Rushing to be your wife, only to be seen as a thorn in your side, and finally end up with a tragic fate? People are often killed by their own excessive self-confidence. Third prince, you are the best example of that. The emperor stood to the side, watching this scene with a complex expression. He clearly didn't know what was true or false, didn't know if Su Ruoyun really had the medicine human constitution, didn't know if she could actually save Xiao Jingyu. But at a time like this, Xiao Jingyu's life was hanging by a thread, the physicians were helpless, and Su Ruoyun was the only hope. He had no other choice. He could only look at me and say in a deep voice, I order you to treat the third prince immediately. As long as the third prince lives, I can permit you to become the third prince's primary consort, to enjoy supreme honor. The emperor's words carried imperial authority and command, not allowing for any refusal. But I wasn't moved in the slightest. My gaze slowly fell on Suwan's abdomen, sweeping over her loose collars skirt as I feigned surprise. The primary consort? But from what I know, the third prince already has someone he's set on. Is it not this Miss Su? She is even carrying the third prince's child. If I were to become the primary consort, would I not be stealing someone else's love? I would end up with a reputation for jealousy. If this gets out, wouldn't people laugh at me? The moment my words fell, the entire field fell silent instantly. Everyone's eyes landed in unison on Suwan's belly, filled with shock and doubt. The emperor's brow furrowed tightly, his gaze toward Suwan, filled with sternness and fury. Is what she says true? You are carrying Jingyu's child? His powerful imperial aura bore down on her. Suwan trembled all over with fear. She instinctively took a step back, her hands tightly guarding her abdomen. Her face was as pale as paper, and even her lips were quivering. She knew this matter could not be hidden forever. But she didn't expect it to be revealed in this way. On such an occasion, she had no way out, so she could only brace herself and kneel before the emperor. Her voice weak and soft as she replied, Your Majesty, this servant is indeed carrying the third prince's child. It has been over 2 months now. The third prince was planning to wait until I gave birth, to request your majesty's decree, to grant me a formal title. The emperor's face grew increasingly grim, so dark it looked as if it could drip ink. Just 10 days ago, Xiao Jingyu had praised Suwan to the skies in front of him, saying she was gentle, virtuous, and understanding, a rare and remarkable woman in the world. Yet he had concealed the fact that she was merely a personal maidservant, and he had even let her become pregnant. This was not only a deception of the monarch, but a complete loss of the royal family's dignity. He felt as though he had been cruelly mocked by this favorite son of his. The fire of anger in his heart was about to erupt. Seeing this, Suwan knew the emperor was furious. She quickly wiped away her tears, crying even more pitifully, Your Majesty, I know my low status is not worthy of the third prince, and I do not dare to beg for any title. I only pray for the third prince's safety. As long as Sister Su can cure him, I am willing to give up everything. even to serve as a beast of burden without complaint. Let alone the position of primary consort. Suwon's tone was sincere, her attitude humble, and she seemed so reasonable, as if she truly only cared for Xiao Jingyu. The gaze of the people around her gradually turned to sympathy. The emperor's expression also softened a bit. He felt that although this woman was of low birth, she was at least loyal and affectionate, far better than those power-seeking, narrow-minded women. The emperor turned his gaze back to me, saying in a deep voice, "Su Ruoyun, things have come to this, what else do you have to say? Quickly, treat the third prince." I simply redirected my gaze to Xiao Jingyu, my lips curling into a mocking arc. Does the third prince think so as well? To make me your primary consort, and then, after I save you, you will think of your Miss Su and your unborn child again, and cast me into hell just like in the previous life? Subjecting me to all kinds of hardship? Others might not understand the meaning behind my words, only thinking I was being spiteful, but Xiao Jingyu definitely heard the underlying message. His body jolted violently. His eyes filled with shock and disbelief. He looked at me, his lips trembling. "Ruoyun, you've also been reborn?" Only someone who had been reborn would know the events of the previous life, would know what he did to her after he ascended the throne, and would say such things. He finally understood why Su Ruoyun in this life had become so cold and so decisive, why she avoided him at every turn, and why she adamantly refused to detoxify him. It turned out she was like him. They had both returned with memories of their previous life, as if having a sudden epiphany. His eyes were filled with pleading. He grabbed my sleeve tightly, as if clutching the last straw of hope. "Ruoyun, I promise. In this life, I will definitely treat you well. I will never misunderstand you again, never hurt you again. You are my wife. My only wife. As for Suwon, she can be a side consort. She will follow your lead from now on, and obey your every command, and the child. If you mind it, I can register the child under your name. Please, I only want to favor you in this life. Is that okay?" Xiao Jingyu was only focused on begging for my forgiveness and wanting me to save him, never noticing that with every word he said, Suwon's face turned several shades paler. Her hands were clenched tight, her nails almost digging into her flesh. The poison of resentment and hatred in her eyes almost overflowed. But in front of the emperor, she didn't dare to lash out. She could only pretend to be heartbroken and weep silently. Yet she had to put on a show of being reasonable. She quickly knelt before me too, grabbing the hem of my skirt and crying, "Sister Su, please save His Highness. His Highness knows he was wrong. He will definitely treat you well in the future. I will do whatever you ask. Even if I have to serve you as a beast of burden, I am willing to do so." Watching the two of them act in harmony, I only felt it was incredibly ironic. When I returned from rebirth, I had pondered this. Xiao Jingyu's intense hatred and treatment of me in the previous life was largely due to Suwon's efforts. It was she who constantly stirred up trouble before Xiao Jingyu, constantly slandering me. She personally wrote that suicide note, pushing all the blame onto me. It was she who used her own death to trade for Xiao Jingyu's endless hatred toward me. In this life, she wanted to repeat her old tricks, using a fake prescription to deceive Xiao Jingyu, which accelerated his decline. Now, she wanted to rely on the child in her belly to continue clinging to the royal family. All fingers pointed at me, as if I didn't save Xiao Jingyu, it would be my fault, making me out to be narrow-minded and resentful over past grudges. But did they ever consider the suffering I endured in my past life, the sins I was subjected to? Can a simple "I'm sorry" make up for it? Can the position of primary consort cancel it out? I slowly raised my hand and took out a small silver knife from my waist. This was something I always carried with me, to cut herbs or for self-defense. The blade was sharp, glimmering with a cold light. Holding the small knife, I lightly pricked my fingertip. Bright red blood welled up instantly, carrying a faint medicinal fragrance. That was the unique scent of a medicine human's constitution. Holding my fingertip, I walked over to Xiao Jingyu and gently smeared a few drops of blood on his lips. My cold fingertip touched his warm lips, and the blood with the faint medicinal scent seeped into his mouth. Xiao Jingyu only felt a cool sensation instantly spread from his mouth to his whole body. The original burning pain was instantly relieved a lot. The tightness in his chest also dissipated significantly, and even his breathing became smoother. The black marks on his face receded at a speed visible to the naked eye. His whole person cleared up a lot. He was overjoyed in his heart, thinking he was saved. His eyes were full of hope as he looked at me. "Ruoyun, I knew you would definitely save me." But before he could be happy, he heard me say in a flat tone words that cast him into hell. "The poison has already penetrated deep into your internal organs. Your meridians are ruined. It can't be cleared anymore. You have at most 1 month to live." Xiao Jingyu's smile instantly froze on his face. The hope in his eyes also instantly turned into despair. He looked at me in disbelief, as if he hadn't understood my words. He was stunned for a long time, then said with a trembling voice, Ruoyun, what nonsense are you talking about? Clearly my body is already much better. You must have a way. You are a medicine human. Your blood can neutralize all poisons. It must be able to save me. His hand tightly grabbed my wrist. With surprisingly great strength, as if he wanted to crush it. His eyes were full of madness and pleading. I gently pried his hand open, suppressing the relief in my heart, and feigned a sigh of regret. Third Prince, it's not that I'm unwilling to save you, but I am truly powerless. 2 months ago, your toxins were still concentrated in your legs. There was still a slim chance of survival. Using my blood with certain herbs, it might have been possible to clear the toxins. But during this time, Third Prince, you must have taken many heating tonics, right? Those tonics seemingly restored your sensation. But in reality, they were accelerating the spread of the poison. It was like adding fuel to the fire, completely igniting the toxins that were originally dormant. Your internal organs have already been corroded by the poison until they are riddled with holes, and your meridians have snapped. This is no longer something that can be reversed by detoxification. Even if a great deity came, they would be unable to save you. My words were crystal clear, striking Xiao Jingyu's heart like a heavy hammer. He instantly slumped to the ground, his face ashen. The light in his eyes completely went out, leaving only endless despair and fear. Hearing this, Su Wan felt as if she had been struck by lightning. Her face turned pale in an instant. She fell to her knees before the emperor with a thud, pointing at me and shouting in a sharp voice, Your Majesty! Su Ruoyun clearly has the medicine human constitution. Her blood can clearly neutralize all poisons, but she's lying and saying she can't save His Highness. She's doing it on purpose. She's holding a grudge for His Highness's previous disrespect. She wants to harm the Third Prince. Your Majesty, you must seek justice for His Highness. Su Wan wanted to push all the blame onto me. To have the emperor punish me. That way. Even if Xiao Jingyu died, the emperor wouldn't take his anger out on her, and she and the child in her belly could be safe. The emperor was already annoyed in his heart because of Xiao Jingyu. Hearing Su Wan's words, a hint of anger instantly appeared on his face. The gaze he directed at me also became cold. How bold! Su Ruoyun, you dare to deceive the monarch? If anything happens to the Third Prince, I will surely hold you accountable for the consequences. I was prepared. I knelt on the ground calmly and said loudly. This humble woman had no choice. The Third Prince humiliated me in every way back then, smashed my Yaosheng Hall, and called me a quack in front of all the city's people. He even threatened to drive me out of the capital. If I had forced myself to detoxify the Third Prince then, and married into the Third Prince's manor, I'm sure it wouldn't have been long before the Third Prince and Miss Su found a reason to get rid of me, leading to the same fate as in my previous life. This humble woman's heart is small. I had to be on guard. I paused, then added, moreover, when I went to the border city, Your Majesty gave me a promise. I ask for nothing else. Only that Your Majesty can forgive my unavoidable lies and spare my life. I fought to the death to treat the people and soldiers at the border, resolving the crisis there. That should count as a contribution to Great Chu. Your Majesty surely won't break your word, right? The emperor heard this and fell silent for a moment. During these days, my actions at the border had already been continuously reported to the capital. The lieutenant had reported my achievements one by one, saying I had resolved the poison plague at the border single-handedly, saving tens of thousands of citizens and soldiers. Even the ever-victorious General Gu Jun was saved by me. This contribution was truly significant. If the emperor, because of Xiao Jingyu, sentenced me to death, not only would it chill the hearts of the people, but he would also gain the reputation of breaking his word and killing a meritorious official. He might not be able to bear the weight of such a reputation. Of course, as the emperor, I wouldn't let him be embarrassed either. Passing the blame was something I could do naturally. I continued. Originally, after I resolved the border crisis, I wanted to return to the capital immediately. Perhaps the Third Prince would have had a chance to live. But Miss Su sent a messenger on a fast horse to deliver a letter to the Third Prince, saying she felt irritated upon seeing me, which disturbed her pregnancy. She made the Third Prince issue a decree forbidding me to return, forcing me to stay at the border. I had no choice but to obey the decree. If Miss Su hadn't done that, and I had returned to the capital earlier, the Third Prince wouldn't have ended up in this state. These words were like a fuse, instantly igniting the anger in the emperor's heart. The gaze he directed at Su Wan was full of disgust and fury. He raised his foot and kicked Su Wan's shoulder, knocking her to the ground, shouting angrily, "Bold woman! It was you. It was clearly your jealousy of Su Ruoyun that made you want to harm the Third Prince, causing him to end up like this. I will surely punish you today." To seek justice for Jingyu, Su Wan felt as if her internal organs were in a knot. From the kick, she curled up on the ground in pain, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. She kowtowed repeatedly, crying, "Your Majesty, this servant didn't mean it. I was just confused for a moment. I never thought it would be like this. Please spare my life, Your Majesty, for the sake of the child in my belly. Please spare me." Su Wan originally wanted to smear me and push all the blame onto me. But she didn't expect to shoot herself in the foot, instead, dragging herself into it and setting herself on fire. She looked at Xiao Jingyu, her eyes full of pleading, hoping he would intercede for her. But Xiao Jingyu was currently immersed in despair and regret. He didn't even look at her, his gaze fixed in my direction, his eyes full of resentment and indignation. He only now realized that, if it weren't for Su Wan's instigation and plotting, if it weren't for Su Wan's fake prescription, if it weren't for Su Wan forcing me to stay away, he wouldn't have fallen to this point at all. He also felt a mountain-moving hatred for Su Wan. Hating her hypocrisy, hating her viciousness, hating that she destroyed everything of his. Xiao Jingyu looked at me, his eyes full of struggle and pleading. His voice was hoarse and choked with tears. Ruoyun, you are so capable. There must be another way, right? Think again. No matter what the conditions are, I'll agree to them. Even if I have to give up everything, I'm willing. I smiled and shook my head at him. My tone flat but with a finality that brooked no doubt. There is no way. Not only that. The next month that you live, third prince, will only be incredibly painful. Those toxins that have spread to your whole body will slowly corrode your body, from your internal organs to your limbs and bones, torturing you day and night, making you unable to eat, unable to sleep, finding even a single movement worse than death, until in the end, only a skin shell corroded by poison remains. But you brought this on yourself. My words were like the coldest blade, cutting Xiao Jingyu's heart slice by slice, plunging him completely into despair. He knew I was telling the truth, and that his remaining days would be spent in endless pain and torture, until death arrived. The emperor didn't say anything more. Although he loved Xiao Jingyu, he didn't have only one son. Other princes were all shrewd and capable, much stronger than Xiao Jingyu. Now that Xiao Jingyu had ended up like this, if he truly would not live past a month, he was clearly out of the running for the throne. He didn't need to, for a dying person, offend a miraculous doctor who had made great contributions, and even more so, offend General Gu Jun who held heavy military power. The emperor waved his hand and said tiredly, enough, let this matter rest here. Jingyu, take care of yourself. After saying that, he turned and left with the crowd of eunuchs and attendants, leaving Xiao Jingyu and Su Wan to endure the endless despair and pain on the spot. A few days later, Yaoshan Hall received a miraculous doctor plaque personally inscribed by the emperor. Not only was the previous injustice cleared, but its reputation also soared. People came in an endless stream to seek medical advice, almost breaking the threshold. Those neighbors who had previously insulted me and spat on me also came one after another to apologize, their faces full of fawning smiles. Only, I already had no good feelings toward them. I just dealt with them coldly, keeping them at arm's length. Meanwhile, Xiao Jingyu had completely fallen into hell. He was carried back to the third prince's manor, enduring the pain of toxins corroding his body every day. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. His whole body hurt beyond endurance, and he wailed day and night. He rapidly wasted away. His eye sockets sunken, his face withered. Where was there even a hint of the third prince of the past? He looked exactly like a living corpse. Every day, he would have people carry him to Yaoshan Hall, always holding some little trinkets in his hands. An exquisite jade pendant, a beautiful pearl flower, and even the sachet I had personally made for him in my previous life. Now, he had actually found a way to retrieve them all. He laid them out one by one before me, looking like a child who had done something wrong, watching me cautiously, wanting to use these things to stir my pity. He would sit at the entrance of Yaoshan Hall, watching me examine patients and prepare medicine. Watching for an entire day. His mouth repeatedly muttered, Ruoyun, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me, okay? Ruoyun, I'll never make you angry again. Give me one more chance, okay? But my heart was already as cold as still water toward him. Completely unmoved. My death in the previous life, my pain, my hatred. How could these be resolved by such insignificant trinkets? How could a flimsy apology cancel it out? What he owed me, only paying with his life could compensate. The servants in the manor, seeing that his lamp was running out of oil and his days were numbered, also began to look for other ways out. Some secretly left with the manor's money. Some treated him with cold indifference. They were careless in caring for him. The meals brought to him were either cold or spoiled. Cleaning him and changing his dressings were done perfunctorily, without a hint of their former respect. Those princes who had previously been bullied or suppressed by him also occasionally went to the third prince's manor to mock him under the guise of visiting, ridiculing him, saying he had overestimated himself, that he had indulged in wishful thinking, and that ending up like this was entirely his own fault. Xiao Jingyu was deserted by everyone, tasting all the fickleness of human feelings, suffering the coldness of the world in endless pain and regret. He slowly consumed the last of his life. Only then did he suddenly realize who was the one who truly cared for him, who was the person worth his cherishing. But everything was too late. Xiao Jingyu became visibly weaker and weaker. his figure thinning until he was just a bag of bones. He barely even had the strength to speak anymore. On this day, he again had people carry him to Yaosheng Hall. Just as I had finished seeing a patient, he looked at me, his eyes full of pleading, and suddenly began to cough violently. A mouthful of black blood suddenly gushed out, splashing onto the bluestone floor in front of him. It was a shocking sight. He wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth, looking at me with every ounce of strength he had left. His voice was so weak it was almost inaudible. "Ruoyun, I know I was wrong. Only lately have I seen your goodness. But it seems it's too late." He paused, gasping for air before continuing. "Before I die, I have one remaining regret. In our previous life, I didn't give you a real grand wedding. In this life, I want to return it to you. I have already begged Father Emperor to decree our marriage. Even if it's just a marriage in name only. I want to fulfill this wish." Looking at him in this state, there wasn't the slightest ripple in my heart. His remorse was never sincere. It was only because he had been living a fate worse than death and was deserted by everyone that he remembered my goodness and the sacrifices I made for him in my previous life. If he hadn't ended up like this, if he were still that high and mighty, much favored third prince, he would still favor Suwon and still treat me like a disease. I didn't answer him. I just called for the workers of Yaosheng Hall to coldly send the third prince back to his manor. The workers didn't dare delay and quickly carried Xiao Jingyu away. The moment Xiao Jingyu was being carried off, he kept calling my name, his voice hoarse, filled with endless despair and regret. But I didn't even turn my head. The next day, the emperor sent someone to invite me to the palace. He still had a serious expression, yet he looked slightly weary. He must have been exhausted by Xiao Jingyu's affairs. He looked at me and went straight to the point. "Yesterday, the third prince came to beg me to betroth you to him. This is his only wish before death. Do you think I should agree?" I had guessed correctly. Xiao Jingyu was exactly that kind of person. Even on his deathbed, he remained selfish. He wanted to drag me down with him, using a marriage in name only to bind me to his side, making me stay a widow for him, and forcing me to live in his shadow forever. I bowed slightly, my tone firm. "Your Majesty, I have already entered into a marriage contract with someone else and cannot marry the third prince." Just as I finished speaking, a moment later, steady and powerful footsteps were heard. A familiar figure strode forward, blocking the way in front of me. He bowed to the emperor with a forceful and resonant voice. "Your Majesty, Ruoyun and I share the same heart and are deeply in love. Before returning to the capital, I promised to marry her. It's just that I've been busy with matters at the border recently and delayed asking for your Majesty's decree. Surely your Majesty wouldn't take away another's love?" The newcomer was none other than Gu Jun. This was what I had asked Gu Jun to promise me back then, to establish a marriage contract with him as a cover for me. I wanted to refuse Xiao Jingyu and any marriage decree from the emperor. If my fiancé were an ordinary person, the emperor might ignore my wishes and force us apart, but Gu Jun was different. He was a victorious general who held heavy military power and had performed great deeds for Great Chu. Even the emperor had to be somewhat wary of him and wouldn't dare offend him lightly. The emperor's gaze shifted between me and Gu Jun for a moment. Seeing Gu Jun's protective stance in front of me, and the determination and sincerity in his eyes, and thinking of his illustrious military achievements, he weighed the situation in his mind. Finally, he could only sigh. Helplessly, he said, "Very well. In that case, I will not force you. General Gu, Miss Su, your mutual affection is a beautiful story. I grant your marriage. I will decree the union on an auspicious day." Gu Jun and I both bowed. "Thank you, your Majesty." We left the palace together. Just as we reached the palace gates, we ran straight into Xiao Jingyu. Supported by servants, he stood at the gates, his face withered, and his figure skeletal. Seeing Gu Jun and me walking side by side, seeing Gu Jun protecting me, and seeing the natural chemistry between us, his pupils suddenly constricted. His eyes were filled with shock, disbelief, and overwhelming jealousy. I don't know how long he had been waiting there, nor how much he had overheard. He must have heard the emperor agreeing to grant the marriage between me and Gu Jun. Those words, like a thunderclap, made him feel as if he had fallen into an icy abyss. Staggering forward, he reached out a bony hand to grab me. His voice was hoarse, filled with sobs and madness. "Su Ruoyun, how can you marry someone else? Don't you only love me?" His voice choked with tears. But I found it incredibly annoying. I looked at him with indifference. "Third prince, watch your words. I have no personal feelings for you whatsoever." I pulled Gu Jun away, letting Xiao Jingyu shout my name behind us. Upon returning to Yaosheng Hall, I realized I had been holding Gu Jun's hand the whole time. My body stiffened, and I immediately let go. General Gu, thank you for just now. Gu Jun lowered his head. I couldn't see the expression on his face. I only heard a very soft whisper. You have no personal feelings for the third prince. Then what about for me? The tips of his ears turned slightly red. Actually, we had an agreement. If Gu Jun found a girl he liked, the engagement could be cancelled at any time. I just didn't expect. I didn't answer his question. My devotion in the previous life had made me somewhat resistant to loving someone again, even though I knew Gu Jun was different from Xiao Jingyu. Xiao Jingyu still had a grand wedding. The bride was Su Wan. The emperor had wanted to punish Su Wan that day. But unfortunately, she carried Xiao Jingyu's only bloodline. This wedding was only to give the child in her womb a legitimate status. Once the child was born, she was to be buried with Xiao Jingyu. After learning all this, Su Wan naturally refused. She tried to commit suicide by poison, but Xiao Jingyu wouldn't let her off. Several imperial physicians were sent to treat her, only to find that she had taken a fake death pill. She wanted to use it to escape. Xiao Jingyu suddenly realized that in the previous life, Su Wan might not have died either. It was just that she saw him as useless, felt he was unreliable, and faked her death to escape. And yet, for a hypocritical woman like Su Wan, he had thrown away his own life. Xiao Jingyu was consumed by a burning rage, and breathed his last in fury. The next day, Su Wan was tied up to perform the ceremony with a coffin. In her extreme agitation, she miscarried on the spot. Now, there was no more need to wait. The emperor directly ordered her to be buried with Xiao Jingyu. Watching all this, I felt it was all karmic retribution. Gu Jun kept visiting Yaosheng Hall, year after year. Eventually, I was moved by him. On our wedding day, he was happier than if he had won a battle. Holding me and spinning me around, he said, Ruoyun, I will definitely treat you well from now on. I nodded. I believe you.